Have you ever wondered what happens when someone is ordered deported from the US but physically can't be sent home? Today, we're pulling back the curtain on a secret world thousands living in America under final removal orders, shielded by quiet policies and frozen diplomacy. Now, you might be thinking, isn't deportation a simple matter of booking a flight? But the reality is way more complicated. Think of it like a chess game where both players refuse to move their pieces. Let me tell you a story. I spoke to a former immigration officer who said, "There are files on my desk that'll never close because no embassy will pick up the phone." We're talking about legal limbo, consular non-cooperation, and diplomatic recognition or the lack thereof. These are more than just bureaucratic buzzwords. They shape real lives every day. So, buckle up as we count down the 10 hardest countries to deport people back to and uncover why some removal orders are little more than paper ghosts. Let's start with Bhutan. Quick quiz. What happens when a country doesn't even have an embassy in the US? Answer: no deportations. Picture this: Bhutanese nationals lose their asylum case or overstay a visa. Court says, you must leave, but Bhutan says nothing. There's no repatriation agreement, no consular officials, and absolutely no travel documents. It's like being ghosted by an entire government. Without a valid passport or laissez-passer, ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement can't book a flight out. It's not a loophole, it's a diplomatic brick wall. Some people end up waiting years, building families, working jobs, knowing there's no knock at the door. Others live in constant anxiety, unsure what the future holds. So, if you ever thought paperwork was just a minor hassle, Bhutan proves it can shape entire destinies. How wild is that? Alright, number 9, North Korea. Now, try deporting someone to a country where the US hasn't had diplomatic ties since the Korean War. It's like mailing a letter to a post office that doesn't exist. No North Korean embassy means no travel papers, and with direct flights off the table, there's literally no legal path home. It's as if the legal term rendering, as in forcibly removing someone vanished into thin air. Now, you might be thinking, but can't the US pressure North Korea? Pyongyang has zero interest in playing ball. Most North Koreans with final removal orders just stay. For these folks, every year brings the same news. Another round of diplomatic silence, another year in limbo. Their legal status is frozen, untouchable, unmovable. So next time you hear about tough immigration enforcement, remember, sometimes even the strongest handcuffs come unlocked by geopolitics. Moving on to number 8, Syria. If you think paperwork is tough, try sending someone back to a country with no functioning embassy, ongoing civil war, and international sanctions. Since the U.S. closed its embassy in Damascus in 2012, all deportation channels have effectively shut down. No consular staff, no travel docs, no way to verify someone's identity. It's like trying to reboot a computer whose hard drive is missing. And here's the human side. Many Syrians are denied even the label of citizen by their own government. Courts and ICE know what's at stake. Return could mean torture, persecution, or worse. So Syrians under final orders are often released, living in what legal scholars call removal limbo. That's not just a fancy phrase, it means you exist between systems recognized by none. Think about it. If a government won't pick up the phone, how do you put someone on a plane? You don't. And that's why Syria is one of the world's top deportation dead ends. Let's talk Iran, number 7 on the list. Imagine being ordered deported, but the receiving country, your birth country, won't even acknowledge you. Welcome to the world of consular refusal. Iran hasn't had formal ties with the U.S. since 1980. The Swiss embassy acts as an intermediary, but its hands are tied. No direct cooperation means no mass processing of removal cases. Now, you might ask, can't the U.S. just force the issue? Not when Iran simply ignores requests for travel documents or rejects applications outright. It's diplomatic gridlock in action. Add to that U.S. sanctions and Iran's record of repressing returnees, especially political dissidents, and you get a humanitarian and legal nightmare. So for thousands of Iranians, a removal order is more theoretical than practical, a paper tiger blocked by politics and history. Next up, Laos at number 6. Ever heard of a country where deportation cases drag on for decades? That's Laos, a bureaucratic black hole. The U.S. and Laos signed a return agreement in 2003. But in practice, it barely functions. Lao authorities often refuse or delay issuing travel documents, sometimes for years. Let me put this in perspective. Many Laotian nationals came as refugees after the Vietnam War. They've built lives here, but a criminal conviction or denied asylum can trigger removal orders that never get enforced. ICE eventually gives up, closing cases and releasing people back into the community. It's a classic case of administrative closure, a technical term for saying we're out of options. So, if you think bureaucracy is just red tape, in Laos's case, it's a safety net, albeit one woven from decades of inaction and tangled paperwork. Number 5 is Myanmar, and here's where things get really intense. Since the 2021 military coup, Myanmar has become a deportation black hole. The U.S. government suspended almost all engagement with the military regime. That means deportation requests go unanswered and repatriation is a non-starter. Now, imagine being a political dissident or part of an ethnic minority like the Rohingya. U.S. courts and human rights groups know sending you back could mean persecution or worse. Hundreds of cases have been delayed or shelved, with people living under order of supervision, basically, released but still on ICE's radar. It's like being on parole for a crime you can't serve time for. With a barely operational U.S. embassy and fractured communication, deportation to Myanmar is a mission impossible where the stakes are life and death. Number 4, Vietnam. Here's a twistings of thousands live in the U.S. under final removal orders, but a single date, July 12, 1995, protects many from deportation. Vietnam and the U.S. signed a repatriation agreement in 2008, but Vietnam will not accept anyone who arrived before diplomatic ties were normalized. That's the so-called 1995 firewall. Now, you might wonder, can't the U.S. just remove them anyway? Not if Vietnam won't verify their citizenship or issue travel documents. It's a bureaucratic stalemate rooted in history. Even for post-95 arrivals, paperwork delays and refusals, especially for those with political backgrounds or criminal records, make deportations rare. So, for many Vietnamese nationals, their status isn't about beating the system, it's about being stuck in the amber of history and diplomacy. Let's talk Cambodia at number 3. On paper, deportation sounds straightforward, order issued, person leaves. But in Cambodia, it's anything but simple. The Cambodian government often refuses to issue travel documents or stalls the process for months, sometimes years. That's called consular non-cooperation in legal speak. A lot of Cambodian nationals in the U.S. came as refugees from the Khmer Rouge era, so their ties to Cambodia are tenuous, and identity verification is a bureaucratic nightmare. Add to that political sensitivities, Cambodia hesitates to accept returnees with criminal records or those perceived as dissidents. The result? Growing communities in limbo, unable to fully integrate or move on. It's a classic case where immigration law and international relations collide and people's lives hang in the balance. Number 2, Yemen. When a country is in open civil war with no functioning embassy or government, deportation becomes a life or death gamble and the U.S. all but calls it off. There's a technical term for this, non-refoulement, the principle that you can't send someone back to a country where they'd face danger or persecution. In Yemen's case, it's not just a principle, it's a matter of survival. With no way to process travel documents or confirm identity, ICE can't enforce removal. Many Yemeni nationals in the U.S. live under final orders, but their cases are frozen. Some spend months in detention before being released, others are monitored, but all share the same uncertainty caught between a war zone and a country that can't fully accept them. So, if you ever thought immigration was just about rules and borders, Yemen proves it's also about morality and survival. Finally, number 1, Afghanistan. Since the fall of Kabul in 2021, Afghanistan has become the ultimate case study in deportation gridlock. The U.S. has no reliable government partner in Afghanistan, and the Taliban's control makes communication and repatriation virtually impossible. It's like trying to send a package to an address that keeps disappearing. Thousands of Afghan nationals in the U.S. live with final removal orders, but their cases are on indefinite hold. Humanitarian concerns, security risks, and bureaucratic chaos all collide here. Many arrived as refugees or evacuees. Now, they wait in legal limbo, unable to return home and unable to fully settle here. Their stories are a stark reminder that immigration law doesn't operate in a vacuum. It's shaped by global crises and changing governments. So, next time you hear about tough talk on immigration enforcement, remember, sometimes the world's messiest politics write the final chapter. So, what have we learned? Deportation isn't as cut and dry as it looks. Political turmoil, collapsed governments, and historic mistrust create barriers that laws alone can't break down. You might be asking, isn't this just bureaucratic failure? Sometimes, yes, but often, it's a deliberate result of global standoffs, non-recognition, or humanitarian safeguards. Let me leave you with this. For every policy, there's a real person living in uncertainty, building a life in the shadows of international relations. Paperwork and politics don't just fill files, they shape futures. If this deep dive changed your perspective, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Your support helps us bring more untold stories to light. Stay tuned, because the world of global migration is always shifting, and there's always more beneath the headlines.